You know, the guy is good. Great interview. Get it on YouTube. It's a fantastic conversation.
And they put on disco light.
Yeah, and it was. I think they were recording it somewhere in some studio. So they were talking about his music.
They were doing some steps.
Yeah, he doesn't look his age at all. J.W. Ambole, great guy. Anyway, gentlemen, welcome to the weekend edition.
Hello.
It's Friday. How are you doing?
Fantastic.
Looking forward to the day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, great stuff happening. All right, let's get into the Times. Nathan, I'll start with you today.
Yes, the Times front page says big boost for vegetable production. Ghana gets largest greenhouse farm in West Africa. Wow. Government to support SSGL to undertake nationwide sewage projects. Over 50 shops owned by foreigners closed down. NDC says we don't trust EC to compile credible voter register, and 83 banks suffered 115.5 million cedi fraud in 2019. That's from the Bank of Ghana's report.
I'm starting from the back page of the Daily Graphic. Tema to have new fecal treatment plant.
Really?
Is the big story there.
Okay.
When you get to the front page of the Daily Graphic, though, the greenhouse story is here. President opens 75 greenhouse farms. Business proposals flood 1D, 1F secretariat and seek permits before construction. This is coming from the Yana.
The Finder says President unveils 4,000-ton greenhouse. It will produce tomatoes worth 11 million cedis annually. New register, EC saved 173 million cedis, cut bloating, reduced minors and foreigners. Samia Wuku says Ghanaians should reject Mahama's deceitful promises, and MTN records over 1 billion cedis in profit after tax in 2019.
Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper, Senior Minister tours Lavender Hill. $86 million for armored cars. President opens the largest greenhouse estate. Rawlings didn't like Amidu as running mate. Guess who?
Ahoy.
And the Daily Guide's big story this morning. Okay, let's move on.
Why? Okay, let's get into the Chronicle.
The Chronicle says 30 Ghanaian women in captivity in Iraq. Their passports seized and made to work like robots. Choose and pick. Kwamina could be in the ditch, okay? Ekufado outdoors NEIP 75 Greenhouses and Innovation Center, and Carlos Beckstrom achieves for forgiveness.
Front page of the Daily Statesman, Samia Oku, you can't trust indecisive Mahama with Ghana's destiny. Big push for agric modernization. MPP unveils manifesto launch committee.
The New Weekend Crusading Guide says ex-auditors lies against UPSA VC falls flat as evidence expose his claims as bogus. Okay, government will support SSGL to replicate waste treatment plants. Osafomafo, Ekwapim Chiefs Hill outgoing Ekwapim North MCE, and Ekufado commissioned 75 greenhouses to boost local vegetable farming.
Front page of the Herald newspaper this morning, Ghana Airports exposes Jubilee House and Aviation Ministry as company describes government Turkish deal on Kotokars unsolicited. EC boss refuses to eat humble pie on new register after getting nation into wasteful exercise, and Akufo-Addo names 2015 state project after himself.
The Ghanaian Observer says Samia Wuku exposes why Mahama cannot fulfill his promises. President Akufo-Addo commissions biggest greenhouse village. Mahama hails mobile money interoperability, says 50 million Ghanaians have bank accounts, and government to back SSGL to replicate waste treatment plants. That's the senior minister speaking there.
Finally from me, Bernard, front page of the BNFT. Government will support SSGL, that is Sewage Systems Ghana Limited, to replicate waste treatment plants nationwide. And the paper today is also focusing on the bank fraud report released by the Bank of Ghana.
And the publisher says Parliament okays $86 million to purchase armored vehicles for military. Kunedu had a hand in Rawlings' fallout with Mills and Co. And you can guess where that one is coming from.
The Ahoy book.
Carlos in more trouble as Tema Traditional Council rejects him.
Online, citynewsroom.com. Let's exhaust internal mechanisms to clean register before external audit. This is Kodio. Also, government to reconstruct central medical stores by end of the year, Health Minister. Meanwhile, 39,000 clinical recoveries reduce Ghana's active COVID-19 cases to 1,900. And Parliament approves $86 million loan to procure armored vehicles. There's also a lot of Sami Ewuku in the front page. Mahama does not believe in free SHS, ignore his antics. He's also saying Ghanaians should treat his $10 billion infrastructure promise as a threat. And of course, he's quoted about 4 times here. Meanwhile, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman says NDC will increase maternity leave period for 4 months. And then there's an analysis Volta for other regions record below average increase in voter population. City Business News, passage of customs amendment bill will jeopardize over 7,000 jobs. This is according to car dealers. Again, inflation for July increases to 11.4%, and sustained commitment needed to fight illicit financial flows, according to a group. Major Online, Akufo-Addo dismisses Asefe's petition to impeach EC Church in Mensa. Also, Akufo-Addo must fire Zongo Development Fund CEO over alleged procurement breaches. This is Edward Bauer. And other stories, I will review the Constitution, expunge indemnity clause, Carl Eben Morgan. If you go to Star News, Akufo-Addo dismisses Asefe's petition against the Mensa. I'll strengthen decentralization, John Mahama. Also, Akufo-Addo commissioned 75 greenhouses to boost vegetable farming. And fact checker, Mohammed's claim on jailed pastor are flatly wrong. GNA is leading with, we will strengthen decentralization, according to John Mahama. Ghanaians to use Ghana card numbers as tin for business transactions for next year. And MPP to adopt manifesto Saturday, August the 22nd. There's an interesting feature on CNN on the multi-billion-dollar vaccine race, with researchers across the globe gunning for a breakthrough. But saving the world from a pandemic is far from simple. That's an interesting analysis. And of course, US politics is leading on BBC as well. All right, so where are we going to start? Nathan, Godfred?
Let's start from Tema.
Of course,
Yes.
yesterday we made a lot of noise about
So let's go to Tema then.
stuff happening there.
From the
and-
back page of the Daily Graphic, Tema to have new fecal treatment plants. Sewage Systems Ghana Limited, a subsidiary of the Jospon Group of Companies, has secured a 76 million euro credit facility to build a fecal waste treatment plant and also expand the sewage management system in Tema in the Greater Accra region. The project, which is expected to begin this year, is meant to address the challenges that improper fecal waste disposal pose to residents of Tema. The managing director of SSGL, Mr. Haidar Said, who made this known in Accra today, said the amount was sourced from the company's foreign partners and other export banks. Mr. Said made this known when the senior minister, Mr. Yawasafo Mafu, paid a working visit to SSGL to have first-hand knowledge of its operations. SSGL operates the Lavender Hill Fecal and the Mudor Waste Water Treatment plants. Regarding the Tema sewage project, Mr. Said explained that the fecal treatment plant will be constructed from scratch, while obsolete sewage systems in Tema will be rehabilitated and expanded. The Tema sewage system was built in the 1960s for 20,000 residents. However, with the population now standing about 200,000, there's the need to rehabilitate and expand it. He said the company's focus was on establishing waste treatment plants in major regional capitals in the country.
All right, okay, moving on to other stories.
Well, if you go to page 12 of the Ghanaian Times, the president has also been opening greenhouses, and the president has inaugurated the largest greenhouse farm in West Africa, Dowenya, in the Ningo Prampram district of the Greater Accra region, to produce thousands of tons of vegetables all year round. The farm, which is an initiative of the Ministry of Business Development under the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Program, has the capacity to produce vegetables under stable weather conditions, create employment, and generate millions of revenue to the state. So that was what the president was doing yesterday.
Okay.
Lovely pictures in the 12th page of the
There
Times.
are follow-ups, details in different places. John Kuma is photographed with the president. The World Bank estimates that agriculture and agro-business together could command the $1 trillion presence in Africa's continental economy by the year 2030, compared to what it did in 2010. And the president was essentially saying that this will complement planting for food and jobs, and the facility would rely on favorable weather conditions and other things to produce all year round.
Yesterday was a big day of politics, Bernard. So
Yes.
let me get into some of the headlines. The MPP did a press conference yesterday. It's on the front page of the Daily Statesman. Ewuku, you can't trust indecisive Mahama with Ghana's destiny. And the story by Kwesi Frimpong says that the national organizer of the MPP, Samia Oku, has stated that the abysmal performance of former President John Dramani Mahama during his 8-year tenure as Vice President and President puts him in a bad state to be trusted with the destiny of the country. For John Mahama to come and say that he wants to be re-elected to continue what he was voted out for means he has lost touch with his own track record. What good work were you doing that you want Ghanaians to vote for you again? Now, the MPP have also unveiled their manifesto launch committee.
If you go to the GNA, they lead with the NDC's flag bearer who strengthen decentralization, and it says former President John Mahama, flag bearer of NDC, has restated his commitment to strengthening the country's decentralization process. He says it is only through decentralization that we can see true progress. He was speaking to Clocksack. Then, if you go to citinewsroom.com, his running mate, Nana Opoku-Agyeman, says the party will increase maternity leave period to 4 months. The story says running mate for NDC, Professor Nana Opoku-Agyeman, says an NDC government will increase the period of maternity leave from 3 months to 4 months. She says this forms part of the many policies listed in the party's 2020 manifesto that proves it cares about Ghanaians.
If you go to page 5 of the Finder, there's a very sad story, really, a very worrying story. The GJA has called for the soldiers who assaulted TV3 journalists to be dealt with for their actions. Now, the GJA, in a statement signed by its president, Roland Afelmoni, said the association was not happy with the news of the incident. And I read some quotes. "We received with utter shock and intractable concern reports of brutalities meted out by a soldier to a TV3 cameraman, Stanley Niblewu, who had gone to Tema Station in Accra Central to do a story on the state of sanitation there." This, according to the statement, was followed by the pronouncement by the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Dapa, that government had achieved 85% of its target of making the capital the cleanest city in Africa. Now, the story goes on to detail what exactly happened to Stanley Niblewu when the GJA wants...
So why is the Tema Station now a place you can't do reports?
I don't know.
And what is the soldier doing there while the guy is doing his report?
I don't know.
Are the details given as to what
so it
happened?
says, according to the report, the soldier asked a police officer to arrest the TV3 crew for taking shots of a cleanup exercise on Wednesday.
Seriously.
The policeman reportedly declined and pointedly told the soldier that the cameraman had not committed any crime for filming the cleanup in a public space. This infuriated the soldier, who then instructed other security personnel and city guards to surround the cameraman for refusing to surrender his phone and camera. In the words of Mr. Blewu, the soldier, quote, kicked my abdomen and left thigh multiple times, hit my right hand with heavy blows several times until my phone fell and he grabbed it.
So who was doing the cleanup? And why is the soldier saying they shouldn't film it? What kind of nonsense is this? The military people should issue a statement on this. This doesn't make any sense. Now, let me tell you something government wants to do. They want to reconstruct the central medical stores by end of the year. This is a huge story. Now, this was gutted by fire in 2015, and there have been lots of agitation for this to be investigated. Now, government has announced the reconstruction or plans reconstruction of the central medical stores gutted by fire 5 years ago. The tragedy did not only manifest in the loss of property, but also severely disrupted basic medical supplies to neighboring countries. Speaking at the sword-cutting ceremony for the construction of the Kolebu Maternity and Urology and Nephrology Centers, Minister for Opoku-Agyeman MP said the facility will be reconstructed before the end of the year, in addition to other health infrastructure projects. Here's a quote: "We've also aligned the construction and equipping of some hospitals before the end of the year. The sub-regional hospital in Tema, the reconstruction of the central medical stores, construction and equipment of Shama District Hospital and Trauma Hospital in Enyinem and Obuasi, refurbishment and equipping of English and Obuasi hospitals as well." Now, in August last year, it emerged that authorities at the central medical stores spent 300,000 Ghana cedis of drug funds on payment of rent for temporary central medical stores at Spintex. This was after a report by the Auditor General on alleged misapplication of drugs found contrary to Regulation 179 of the Food and of the Financial Administration Regulation. Now, this central medical stores was raised by fire in Tema 2015, January the 13th. And Ghana lost an estimated 237 million cedis worth of medical supplies. The Global Fund, which was the one who sponsored some of the drugs, later forgave Ghana after its $27 million worth of medical supplies it gave Ghana was lost in the fire. So far, nobody has been held responsible, as far as we know, for this.
Let me take you to page 13 of the Daily Graphic. Business proposals flood 1D1F Secretariat.
Okay.
Over 800 businesses have flooded the 1 District 1 Factory Secretariat in Accra with business plans and proposals for the consideration of the government. And that the national coordinator of the 1D1F Secretariat, Mrs. Gifty Ohene Kunedu, revealed this to the Daily Graphic in an interview last Monday. This gets more interesting when I listen. Currently, she said each of the 216 districts of the country had a factory. Adding that while some were fully operational, others were at various stages of completion. When asked to provide details on the specific number of completed factories so far, Mrs. Ohene Kunedu said some were functional and operational, while others were at various stages of completion. Quote, "We cannot provide you with the specific number of completed ones now, because there are many that are at various stages of completion."
If you go to page 3 of the Chronicle, there's another troubling story. 30 Ghanaian women in captivity in Iraq.
Wow.
Now, a group of stranded Ghanaians who traveled to the Gulf state of Iraq to see greener pastures are appealing to President Akufo-Addo to come to their aid by flying them back to Ghana before they are imprisoned by the Iraqi government. The Chronicle understands about 30 Ghanaian women who traveled to Iraq for greener pastures are stranded there because their passports have been seized by the Iraqi authorities after they raided the offices of their agents. The women fear they could spend several years in Iraqi jail before they are deported to Ghana without their luggage.
This is very
You
serious.
have to do something. What if you go to Iraq to seek greener pastures?
Charlie, how can you go? No, it's a serious issue.
Yeah.
A lot of them go to the general Middle East area. But Iraq,
for greener pastures?
I mean, did you know what's happening in Iraq?
Okay.
Charlie, serious matter. Oh.
Page
So, and they're
three.
having 150 Ghanaians
This one says 30 Ghanaian
30.
women. 30
looking for
Ghanaian
greener
women.
pastures in Iraq.
Yes.
Is Ghana that bad? Abba.
Page 3 of the BNFT. Depositors worried over 115 million Ghana City staff aided bank fraud. The number of fraud cases which occurred in banks in 2019 have increased over what was recorded a year ago, with some of the cases largely perpetrated by staff, thereby worsening fears of depositors as to whether their monies are safe with the banks, with questions also arising from the use of electronic platforms. The banking industry fraud report published by the Bank of Ghana shows that the industry's reported fraud in 2019 increased by more than 5%, recording 2,295 cases and valued at 115 million Ghana cedis. Approximately 33 million, representing 28% of this amount, was reported as losses, and 71% was unsuccessful or recovered.
Now, passage of customs amendment bill will jeopardize over 7,000 jobs, according to car dealers. Story on citybusinessnews.com says the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union of Ghana say about 7,000 of their members will be adversely affected by the Customs Amendment Act 1104 or 1014. The law, which has been passed by Parliament, bans the importation of used vehicles older than 10 years, as well as salvage cars known as accident cars. But the Vehicle and Asset Dealers Union have kicked against the act, warning that certain aspects of the act that ban the import of vehicles and spare parts may result in some of their members losing their jobs. General Secretary of the union, Opoku Ajiman, said government must take another look at the act, and they're saying that about 7,700 members, not including sales agents that deal with the value chain, including sprayers, straighteners, and mechanics who rely solely on these things, could lose their job. Meanwhile, the Car Rental Association of Ghana believe the act will help improve the quality of cars on the roads and thereby reduce accidents. So there are two various groups who are commenting on this. Now, let's come to the COVID story. Over 39,000 clinical recoveries reduced our active COVID cases to just 1,906. Story says active COVID-19 cases in Ghana has reduced to 1,906. This is because 39,718 people who got infected by the virus have clinically recovered and have been discharged. This was announced by the Ghana Health Service yesterday, Thursday, August 13. And we have so far since March 2020 recorded 41,847 coronavirus cases. Out of this, 6 in critical condition, 4 on ventilators, 17 in severe condition, and the number dead 223. And there are different regional breakdowns given, as well as the various surveillance types. Okay, let's go into other stories.
Okay, if you go to the publisher, I don't know if you want your Friday morning fix of Ahoy.
Why not?
So
It's like this is the third week of Ahoy.
yeah, the publisher says Kunedu had a hand in Rawlings' fallout with Mills and Co. Now, the influence of the wife of former President Jerry Rawlings played a significant role in the parting of ways between Rawlings and the late Prof. Mills. That's according to Kwamina Ahoy in his book, Working with Rawlings. Now, according to him, Nana Kunedu Ajiman Rawlings, who is the wife of Jerry Rawlings, also influenced greatly her husband's falling out with comrades and confidants who had worked with him over the years. This Professor Ahoy indicated was born out of Kunedu's ambition to lead the NDC and to become president of Ghana. And it states on page 262 that after the appointment of Kofi Totobi Kwachi as the National Security Minister, which brought the latter closer to Jerry Rawlings, Nana Kunedu called him, Kwamina Ahoy, and told him that he should tell Totobi Kwachi as follows: to wait, go and tell that your Totobi that if he knew how I struggled to snatch back my husband from the clutches of Kojo Tikata and PV Obi, he would not be making the mistake of he also wanted to snatch my husband from me again.
I think there's more Ahoy in other papers too, I believe.
Yeah, quite a few.
Anyway, where are you with me, Daily Guy?
Yeah, Delegate, I'm on page 11. Probe allegations against Zongo Fund.
Okay.
That's a story that
Yes,
has been running for
yes.
about a week now.
Yes.
AR Gomda writes that the Zongo Media Group, Muslim Broadcasters Association Ghana, yesterday expressed concern about the recent bad press the Zongo Development Fund attracted when a Corruption Watch report cited the CEO, Arafat Suleiman Abdullah, and 5 million Ghana City procurement breach. In a statement on the issue, the Muslim Broadcasters President, Sibawe Isaka, aka Papa Angola, expressed disappointment that the fund which the president established to champion the cause of the larger Zongo community in the country will soon be in such an alleged mess.
Yes, actually, there's a story on my journal line as well. Akufo-Addo must fire Zongo Development Fund CEO over alleged procurement breaches. This is Edward Bauer, and he says a member of Parliament's Poverty Reduction Committee is calling for the arrest of the CEO of the Zongo Development Fund for alleged procurement breaches. Edward Bauer also wants investigations into Arafat Suleiman's tenure at the fund, and this, as you say, follows the Corruption Watch report.
And let's end with one story, international. Let's do your
No, there's a Cote d'Ivoire story I'm concerned about in the graphic.
Then go on.
No, it's in the daily graphic. There's protests over
the third term.
Yeah, and I think we're not paying enough attention to what's happening in that country.
Okay, let me give you that story. That story is on page 5
Yes.
of the daily graphic. Police in Cote d'Ivoire have fired tear gas at opposition supporters protesting against President Alassane Ouattara's decision to run for a third term in office. Demonstrators defied a ban on protests, erecting barricades and burning tires in the commercial capital, Abidjan. At least 2 people are reported to have been killed during clashes on Wednesday between the opposition and supporters of the governing party. Mr. Ouattara decided to run again after his party's nominated successor, Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly, died unexpectedly last month. The move marks a sharp turnaround for Mr. Ouattara, who said in March that he would not run for re-election in the world's top cocoa producer.
And then there's a story on the BBC that says that there's a conflict risk over Ethiopia's regional polls dispute. The International Crisis Group has warned of the increasing risk of armed conflict developing as a result of an election dispute between the Ethiopian government and the authorities in the northern region of Tigray. And this is contained in a new briefing paper. All right, we'll leave it here, gentlemen. Thank you very much. That was the newspaper review. Coming up next is the Citi Business. But I need to repeat that the Military High Command must issue a statement on the assault of the TV3 cameraman. This doesn't make any sense. We are in a democracy. If somebody, in fact, is there even a place you can't go and film for sanitation coverage? Was that a military zone? Was that a restricted area? This is a public place. So, Colonel Agrikwashi and Co., we want to hear from you on this matter. You can't just do that. We have 4 or so months to an election. If you are going to be beating journalists for doing their work, how are you going to cover the election? So please, we need action to be taken against that soldier for doing what he did.
The Citi Breakfast.